Hi, Amy. Thank you so much for coming. I'd love for you to share whatever is on your mind.
Thank you. It's so good to see you too, Malia. All right. So, to give you a little backstory, most of the people in my area are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Mhm.
And we have a lot of like buildings around. And so you could think, oh, I'll just attend any of those buildings anytime. But we divide up our area in with geographical boundaries, and we call them wards. And then a group of those wards gets to be put into a stake. You'll have like maybe 8 to 10 wards in a stake. Well, last week they announced that our stake is staying the same, but they're going to rearrange the ward boundaries inside, which is kind of a big deal because it's who you go to church with. And so last week there was all this conjecture about like, where people are going to end up and like what wards people are going to end up in. And there was a lot of like sadness and worry about what was going to happen. And then yesterday it all happens. So um yeah, as we go on, I can like tell more things. But basically I lost a lot of friends, and I'm getting some old friends back, and I'm getting some new friends. And so we're creating this new ward, and we'll have to all figure out how to get to know each other and go to church together, do activities together, and things like that.
Okay. Wow. So I'm going to go through the 6 questions. So, how can I pat myself on the back for something I've actually said or for something I may have learned about the client? So, I can pat myself on the back for opening the session well and seem like um, Amy jumped right in and was able to just share what she needed to share and get off of her mind. I think that I was nodding. I didn't want to say too much to interrupt, but I think I encouraged her to continue talking. And I learned that there's a lot of conflicting emotions and a lot of upheaval in communities and relationships. And there's just a lot going on. So, what has the client expressed verbally about emotions? So, Amy expressed sadness, worry, loss of old friend or new loss of friends, also gaining back some old friends. So there's some joy and reclaiming friendships and a little bit of excitement and anticipation for making new friendships. What has the client indicated non-verbally about emotions? As soon as Amy started talking, I noticed, I should say, instead of as soon as you started talking, you leaned forward, and this was clearly something that's very fresh because it just happened yesterday. So um, the speed of your words was quick. So it's a very it's those emotions are right up at the surface. Um, and then how do I feel right now? So um, I feel just a little bit of tension in my chest. I feel some of the the loss and the excitement, but also the worry about how relationships will change, how your spiritual life will change, because relationships are so much a part of of the church. Um, yeah. So how would I feel if I had experienced the same situation that the client has described? I would feel um, I would feel loss. Probably loss would be the biggest thing I would feel. I would just feel the heaviness of uncertainty and probably a little bit of excitement for meeting new people, but I would feel the loss a little heavier because it's more immediate. And then how can I combine the emotions I've identified in the above question with the content that I heard as I listened to the client in order to make a response that clarifies what I understood? And I will say the response once to myself before I speak it aloud. Amy, you feel loss at um, the the changes in your community, the loss of some friendships, and you feel anxious about what the future holds and how that may play out. But also, there's a bit of excitement in gaining some old friends back and the anticipation of making some new friendships.
Yes. Okay, so now I continue, right?
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
All right. So I will add another part to the story. Um, okay, so in this state, I've lived in this state for 25 years. And I started out in a ward called Columbia Heights Ward. I lived there for about 9 years. Then I moved houses just a mile down the road, but it put me in a different ward, Hidden Valley Ward. I was in that ward for about 6 years, and they decided to change some boundaries because they had a neighborhood that had been a field and the houses went in. And so they needed to redo some stuff. So they took like the main part of my ward, like where most of my friends were, and they gave it to a different ward. And then they assigned me to now become friends with, take care of, worship with this whole new area of all these new homes. And so I was really, really devastated because I had been with the other ward that I had loved, the first ward, had moved, readjusted, reached out and made friends. And then most of them were getting taken away from me. And like, I don't know if people outside of like my religion would understand why it matters. Like you still are like a half a mile away or whatever across the street. But that's part of the thing is like you're across the street, but now all of your attention is immersed in this religious group where you go to church, you have activities for your youth and children, and your time is just spent serving there. And so you only have a certain amount of time where you can reach out and have friends outside of your ward.
Mhm.
So that happened 9 years ago, and it feels like deja vu because now they're taking that new ward I had assigned and giving it back to half of my old ward, and then giving me half of my old ward back to meet some new people. So it's just a wow.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Um, I just want to say real quick, that is a lot. That is a lot of shuffling.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a lot. Um, so I'll go through the questions again. How can I pat myself on the back for something I've actually said or something I may have learned about the client? So I think I'm continuing to give minimal encouragers. Um, but I really, what I hear you saying and that I've learned is that this has happened again. So based on what your brain is expecting based on your previous experiences, you're already anticipating how this might go, and feeling almost like not just everything else around you has been shuffled, but you're being shuffled back and forth, and your attention and your focus is being shuffled back and forth, maybe against your will. And that's hard. So what has the client expressed verbally about emotions? So devastated was a word that I heard that happened 9 years ago when you, the people even across the street that you wanted to continue spending time with, you had to shift your focus. And that is a devastating loss. What is the client indicated non-verbally about emotions? So this time when you shared, I noticed that you had a little bit more of a sad look on your face than the first round. I noticed that you talked a little bit slower and you took more pauses um, to express the kind of the shock and the loss that you felt. What has the client indicated non-verbally? So those are some of the non-verbals. So slowing the pace to reflect the feelings of sadness and the sense that, oh, it's happening again. Yeah. How do I feel right now? So I feel frustrated. Like I just feel frustrated that you're expected to just adapt and without really, maybe being able to even process verbally how you feel. I don't know if you are, but I'm feeling a little frustrated. And how would I feel if I'd experienced the same situation? I would feel devastated. I would feel um, it would be hard to feel hopeful right away based on the experience that you had 9 years ago and to feel like the deja vu, like this is happening again. So I would feel frustrated and um, looking for hope, but maybe not quite finding it. How can I combine the emotions I have identified in the above questions with the content I heard as I listened in order to make a response to the client that clarifies what I understood? And I will say the response to myself before I speak it out loud. Um, Amy, I, you feel frustrated and devastated. Like you're being shuffled, like your emotions are being shuffled around, just like people are being shuffled around. And based on previous experience, you're expecting that this will go a certain way and wondering how much you should invest in the new relationships or the old relationships, knowing that this, or wondering if this might actually happen again. So, yeah.
Okay. Um, I'm going to accept that like as a reflection so that I can um, like respond back to that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, Interestingly, because it's happened again, it's softening this experience the second time
Mm-hmm.
instead of being like, oh my heck, like this is horrible. Like it's sad, super sad. But I I learned to love those new people, which is why again it's so sad. But because I see that I was able to love three different like versions, awards, two different versions of awards, I know I will be able to love this version. Like, so there's more hope there than there was last time. Yeah.
That's great. That's good.
Yeah. But it doesn't mean that it's not going to be like instant. It's going to take time. It took me a long time last time. So I'm just like, maybe it'll take a little shorter, we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I just want to add another part of the story because I think it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So I am the leader of the youth, the girls. So every girl that's 12 to 18 in the ward, they're called young women, and I'm young women president. And so I have a group of women that are advisors over these younger women, and they're divided in groups. And I had 45 of those girls that I was in charge of. And in cutting, I lose 2/3 of them to the other ward. I only get to keep, like 15, 20 of them. And that's sad to me because I really love those girls and it'd be sad to not have them. Well, at the same time, I have these that are all sad and I'm getting some from two other wards. So I'll have 25. And I feel like that my experience has actually prepared me to help them through it. So I feel that my experience is helpful in leading the girls. Even though I'm super sad about leaving them, I'm also like focused here. And I think that my experience will help them.
Definitely. Definitely. Thank you so much for sharing. I can hear your hopefulness. Yeah. And the fact that you can use your loss to help these girls process their loss and you all can process it together and and grow closer together. Okay, we're like just under 15 minutes. So
Should we just end?
yeah, yeah. Thank you. That was awesome.
Yay!
That was great. Okay. So, um,
Oh no, I get to talk to you
you
now.
can tell me,
All right.
yeah,
Okay, I gotta
two
give you,
areas.
and this is doesn't count the 15 minutes, so we're okay.
No, yeah, we're good.
Okay. Um, well, okay. So your responses, I mean, like your nonverbal cues, you were smiling gently, you were nodding your head, looking at me like you understood and that you were curious about what my experience was. What responses had a positive impact? It was interesting, like hearing you answer the questions because they were almost like reflections in your answers. And I especially the first round, I was really surprised how much you like ticked up in the first 2 minutes and what you learned about the situation. So that was really impressive to me. And I thought it was cool that you were able to like not just like see me, but and hear the words, but you were paying attention to my cadence, which I thought was cool. What responses were facilitated? So then when you got to do the reflection, I thought the first time was spot on. And the second time, I felt like I got to add more to the story
Yeah,
so that you could see that, like, although I was very, very sad, I still had hope in it.
yeah.
And so that was fun for me to be able to communicate that. Two or three areas of growth that were not accurate. Oh, no, I was able to say, like, I wasn't as sad this time as last time. And I was able to say that. So
Yeah.
that's which responses broke connection. I didn't feel like there was any weird stuff. What responses were not facilitated? I thought you were good. Like anytime I was talking, you were like paying attention to me. I think as far as general, I thought you had great presence and you cared about me, and you seemed to me like somebody that's going to be really good at this. Like you were able to like gather the information from multiple sources, and so you should feel good about it. Oh yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Good
That
job.
was fun. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yes.
Okay, so let's end it and then jump back on.
Yeah.
Yeah?
It
Okay.
sounds great.
Okay. See you in a bit.
Okay, see ya.